TransFinder world and doing a great job for us. So I know that Joe has some things that he wants to talk about and introduce himself. So I'll go ahead and turn that on over to Joe.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Let's get my technology working. I apologize if this takes me just a second. I'm going to start sharing something on the screen here in just a second. So first, thank you guys for having us. I know that TransFinder and NYAPT, they've definitely had a very long history together. You guys are probably all very well familiar with who we are and what we do. So thank you. We appreciate having the ability to work with you guys and partner with you guys and just, you know, have this relationship that we have, because obviously it's always a good thing. Bear with me. Let me share my screen here. Tell me if you can see my screen. You folks able to see that? You guys should see a school bus. Just nod if we're good. Awesome, thank you. So yeah, so I go by the name of Joe. It is the translated version of Giuseppe, which is Italian. I am a first-generation American in my family, so Joe is just a little bit easier for everybody to kind of get with, because Giuseppe tends to be a little bit longer, and the email is just impossible. I never get my email if I try to use the name Giuseppe on my email. So Joe just makes life a lot easier. If you all remember, as Brian said, Greg, who retired and is apparently enjoying sunny weather somewhere, as I'm told, I am his replacement. I'm the new sales consultant here in New York. Very happy to be working with you guys and looking to partner in any way we can. So yeah, so that's it. That's me. What we'll do today, very briefly, because like I said, I know you guys are all very intimately familiar with TransFinder. You guys have probably all attended 50 speeches done by our fearless leader, Tony. I don't want to beat you guys up too much. I just kind of want to give you a little bit of highlights of what TransFinder's been up to, what we're seeing, what we're doing, and kind of some of the things that keeps my calendar full every day, and just keeps us busy. Because like Brian said, you know, listen, COVID, it definitely changed the world for all of us. I don't need to go into how that did. You guys have probably faced the worst of it in school districts. Honestly, I commend you guys. The conversations I have with people in your roles, I don't know how you guys do it. You know, I mean, it really is a challenge. So with that, some of the ways that TransFinder has been helping, just in case you didn't know. So if you guys attended the last meeting that Tony hosted, one of the things you probably saw was this very lovely wheel that we have, and some of the things that TransFinder does to help school districts and specifically transportation. As you can see by the wheel, we kind of do it all. With that, one of the things that I came to this company, one of the things that attracted me to come and work here was my history and my strength lies in GPS. For the last 10 years, I've been working with various GPS providers. I have a lot of knowledge and insight on that. More than just TransFinder's role in GPS, but just overall. So anybody out there that's been thinking about that or integrating GPS with your routing, I'd be more than delighted to have a conversation with you and just kind of go through what that looks like and what oh, I have somebody in the waiting room. Sorry, folks. What that looks like and kind of what it could mean for your district as far as just costs and the value that it brings to you as a TD. So obviously our flagship product now is RouteFinder Plus. For those of you out there that are using it, for those of you out there that are unfamiliar with it, it is revolutionary. One of the things that we take pride in, and one of the things that I try to really talk to my customers about and just kind of get familiar with, is the fact that, contrary to some of the other software out there that's been out there, RouteFinder Plus, you don't need to be a computer scientist to know how to use it. It's very simple. The user interface is absolutely a dream to just use and drive. And really anybody can get behind the wheel and kind of steer, so to say. So that's one of the things that kind of makes us different from everybody else out there. And one of the things we're very proud of is that, you know, for the most part, you guys can focus on doing what you do best, which is transportation and not necessarily driving a computer mouse. One of the other things that makes me really excited, excuse me, is our parent engagement app. We're seeing more and more of this today, especially being in like a remote environment where students are, you know, doing all types of different things with buses, and bus schedules are changing all the time. Stop Finder is getting really, really popular for communication with parents and just their general knowledge of what's going on with my child's bus. We're seeing a lot of engagement there, and customers are coming to us saying now, you know, hey, we didn't think we needed this a year ago, but now we see such value in this. What do we have to do to get set up? And then lastly, the thing that's really, really been buzzing with all our customers for very many reasons, and I think I saw the agenda, one of the things you might have today is like driver training and stuff like that. Tablets on buses, right? This has been huge, and when I say tablets on buses, sorry, I got a lot of people joining the room, and I'm just allowing them in. We want everybody to be part of this big party we're having. When I say tablets on buses, one of the things that we've come out with and we identified as a real need in the industry was something to give turn-by-turn directions on a bus and take attendance, both of which are now possible by augmenting a little bit of technology on your bus. So as you can see here in the picture, we do have essentially just a tablet that's basically somewhere on your dash. It'll give turn-by-turn directions, and the difference here, folks, is this isn't like Google Maps or something like that where, you know, you're relying on just generic directions, right? We don't want to get a bus stuck under a low overpass or something like that. This is pulling information directly from our routing system. So we know the route is safe and approved and something that you as the TD would feel confident in that driver doing. And the reason why this has been such a huge conversation point for us in all of our meetings is the driver shortage isn't just here in New York, it's across the nation, right? And COVID has only made that worse. Some of the different things happening with the stimulus and unemployment have made that worse. So being able to empower a new driver and sit them behind the wheel has become a huge driving factor in the mind of every TD. So that's one of the things that's been leading a lot of our conversations and meetings, and definitely something we're excited about. In addition, we do have the ability, as far as the attendance piece goes, to take attendance in multiple different ways. As you see here, you could have the picture and your driver could physically click the button for the student that gets on or off, or you could even do RFID cards to allow attendance for your students on buses. And that's basically it, folks. I didn't want to beat you up too hard. I know you guys are, like I said, very intimately familiar with TransFinder and what we do. I just kind of wanted to keep it light. I wanted to give some time back. If you guys have any questions for me, I'm more than happy to talk to you. And other than that, the only other slide I have is if you guys haven't checked us out, we do have some webinars where I think Tony leads these. Some of them have some of these are his talks and different things that he's done over time. If you haven't seen them, feel free to check them out. There's some pretty good information in some of these videos. But again, I want to thank you guys for the time. We really appreciate having the ability to sponsor this and to work with NYAPT over the years, and hopefully many more years to come. And lastly, I hope all of you guys are safe and sound, and COVID has not impacted you guys terribly personally. So any questions?
I'm curious, Giuseppe, do you like long walks in the park?
Thanks, Brian. Yes, long walks. I enjoy the sunset and you know, a good cup of coffee.
Very good.
So how'd I do, folks? Anything good come out of that? I mean, you know, be honest. I know you guys, like I said, are very, very familiar with us and what we do and how we do it. If there's anything you need, if there's anybody you know out there that's thinking about getting software or getting software through TransFinder, feel free to put them in touch with me. I'd be more than happy to just have a brief conversation or give them a full demo of the software. You know, whatever it is, I'm happy to make friends and just meet new people.
Yeah, call Pete Dunny. He's still doing his routing pushpin on a map.
Hey, listen, don't threaten me with a good time. Who'd you say, Pete?
The one thing that I have to say is that I appreciate being able to, I know it's not mytransminder.com anymore, it's community or something, but the fact that the training videos for all the different parts of the software are free after you have the software. Like, couldn't remember how to do something. I went on the other day and I looked it up, and I was able to like view the step-by-step directions in the webinar. Like, that is one thing that I really appreciate with the TransFinder stuff. So
Thanks. That's
Denise, have you tried
right?
the new? Oh.
Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to ask if she's also tried the new chat function that's in the community where you can actually hit up a representative if you can't find what you're looking for.
no, but I know where the help button is. So.
Well, no,
it's
that's
518-723-8203, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're always available to help, Denise, and you know, like you said, I'm definitely and unfortunately I've had to learn this the hard way, that sometimes watching a video on YouTube and then trying to do something in the house myself doesn't work out so well. But I'm definitely the guy that goes to the internet as well first to try to find a video and figure out how to do it before I call somebody. So that's why that's out there and that's why it's available. So glad you're using it. It's definitely an awesome resource.
More to the point of that, you don't have to pay additional money to go, wait a second, how do I use this thing that I'm already paying 10,000, you know, however much per year for?
Yep.
That was my thing.
Yeah, exactly. No, thanks for the feedback. We appreciate that, and I will definitely share that with my team later today, and Tony, the owner, since we obviously talk very often, I'll let him know that feedback is that's what we want to hear, right? What's working and what's not, because that makes us all better. Anybody else? No? Awesome. Well, thank you folks again for having us. I appreciate it. Anything I can do, feel free to reach out. And if you guys, you know, like the gentleman who spoke up, if you have a friend out there that's still doing things manually or has a map up on the wall with strings and push pins, we can change your life. We can definitely help you out. So just let us know and we'll be happy to do it. But again, thank you. I'll give you back your meeting. We appreciate the time, and we hope, again, you're all safe and sound and everything is well. Have a good day, folks.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Brian. So if anybody has any questions later that they think of that they're, you know, just comes to them, reach out to Brian and Joe. If you need their contact information, email me and I'll happily give that to you so that you can reach out to them, because I don't know if everybody saw in the chat. Brian did post, if you had not seen the plus yet, to give him a shout, and he thinks that you will enjoy what you see. And then he just put, if you check the chat, he just put his information in there for you. So you can write that down. If you think of anything later, give him a call or give him an email. So thank you both for being here and your continued support of NYAPT. We greatly appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Belinda. Have a good day.
You too. Now I'd like to turn it over to Al and Denise. Al Karam from Shenandoah and Denise Town from North Colony, who had a pretty interesting run so far this year. And they're here to talk about what caused them to have to tell their families they couldn't transport their kids to school. And, you know, we laugh because I don't know about you guys, but I sit with Bernie a lot in the morning. I don't know if she's on. And I'll say to her, well, today might be the day that I have to tell somebody we can't pick them up. They're not going to school. And we're kind of half joking about that, but that really happened to you guys. So they're here to share their experience with us. So Al and Denise.
Go ahead, Denise, you can start.
Claudine, are you gonna put up the slideshow? So if anybody who knows me knows I love a good PowerPoint. So I did a couple of slides ahead of today's meeting, kind of as like a reminder to just what all of our steps were to get there. And Claudine, it's just showing your screen of people. So so basically what had happened is we had a bunch of people that were out sick. We had some folks on quarantine, but we also had a bunch of people that were out for medical reasons that were non-COVID related. We got to the point where we just had so many people out that we were having a really hard time functioning and putting things together. And it got to the point where we just didn't have enough people, even with every office staff member driving. We didn't have, what just happened?
Can you see it or?
Well, I just see a big picture myself. So glad I did my hair today. It got to the point where we just didn't have enough staff members to run a regular school day. So a long time ago, back, if October is a long time ago, we had put in plans if we had to go to remote, where we just didn't have enough staff in school or didn't have enough staff on the buses to be able to go through with a reduced number of routes, transporting just non-public students and self-contained special needs students. So instead of our regular 58 routes, it's down to 37 routes at that point. But even on that reduced schedule, we were at the point where we just didn't have enough, and we were getting to the point where we said, okay, every office staff members out on the road. That means there's nobody in the office, there's nobody answering radios, there's nobody answering phone calls. We had 3 mechanics that were out on quarantine as well. So our other mechanics were covering their extra duties. Only half of our mechanics are eligible to drive, and we still had 3 runs that we weren't able to cover. And we were trying to figure out, going, okay, so we've stitched together absolutely everything that we possibly could, and how do we decide who we're not going to cover? So we contacted our school administrators and laid it out on the line for them and said, look, we're at that point where we just, either everybody's going to have to go remote, or we have to decide who doesn't get a bus. And so we did go completely remote one day. And that was the day that we spent scrambling, trying to put everything together. And the call went out to, from our superintendent to all of the superintendents in the area, saying, you know, look, we need help, whether you want to send over a couple of mechanics to cover for our mechanics so our mechanics can drive, or if anybody had drivers. And that's where Al and Belinda really like stepped in and helped us out. There you go. So we had, like I said, we normally have 58 routes. 22 of them were open. And then that breakdown tells you, you know, how many, you know, what those 22 consisted of. So we had a total of 19 people to cover, 22 pieces of work. And so Al and Belinda came in with, you know, their superhero capes on, and ended up helping us out and sending 3 really, really great guys over here who were so incredibly friendly, so incredibly helpful. I won't say that we didn't try to steal them away a little bit, just joking, sort of. But, you know, like, we couldn't have asked for nicer folks to really come in and help us out. And, you know, there have still been days where almost all of us are out on the road, and I think we're going to continue going down that path. But, you know, as more of our drivers are getting vaccinated, and, you know, positive cases are on the decline, I think we're in a much better light. So that's how we got there.
Yeah, let me jump on that from our perspective before Belinda kind of like tell you a bunch of lies, whatever. So one of the things, and you know, like all of you, we may be a large district. We have around 190 some odd drivers on the rolls. So to me, it doesn't matter whether you have, you know, 20, 30, 50, 90, 200, doesn't matter. We're all facing driver shortage. So typically in a normal year pre-COVID, we would average around 19 drivers out, which, you know, gives our dispatchers, you know, headaches and stress every day. There were times when, you know, I've seen, you know, 60 pieces of work had to be divvied out because 19 drivers were out. So, but what we did as part of our COVID reopening plan is our dispatch team, and really this is their credit, not mine. They put together an operational plan. So we know that we can operate with 19, let's run it up to 20 drivers out, not a problem. So what does it look like if we have 25? What does it look like if we have 30 drivers out? What would it look like if we have 35? And I think we took it up to 50. 50 was, we're shutting down, it's a snow day, nothing's gonna happen, right? So as COVID, you know, kicked up and we pretty much, our school district opted to come back in person 4 out of 5 days, although it seems like we're running, you know, normal. It's really no different than pre-COVID. But at any rate, we saw an uptick on the average number of drivers being out. I think we're averaging around 23, 25 drivers out. Again, that's a lot. And the funny thing is, on the day that I got a call from our superintendent asking if we can help North Colony, I was in quarantine, not because I had anything. My wife thought she had it. She got tested, and the rules are, you know, you got to be quarantined. So I'm at home. I get this email, and I quickly get a hold of Belinda. She starts freaking out. Oh my God, we got 25 already out. And then Lisa next to her, she passed out when I said I need 3 drivers. Had to call 911. And so I told Belinda, just calm down. We got an operational plan, right? Yes, we do. And so we know what it is that, you know, we need to do to continue to operate up until we say no mas, and that's 50 drivers out. So she took a deep breath, calmed the hell down. And to their credit, really, they came up with the 3 drivers. Initially, I said, you know, 2, I was going easy on them, but she came back. She said, oh, she was so excited. We can do 3. Ah, thumbs up. Denise is gonna love you. Claudine's gonna love you. So yeah, let's get to 3. And so, you know, we were able to send the 3 down. Not that we had the 3, but the dispatchers, like all your dispatchers, right? That's really where the heart is. They always make things happen. And you know, my team here understands that challenges are opportunities, and we really, we want solutions. We know what the excuses are. We know what the hurdles are. We want solutions, and so they're solution driven. And I'm glad it worked out for North Colony, and I'm glad while we're sitting here biting our fingernails for 3 days, we were able to see the week through. I promised them, you know, they'll have a down week the following week, which we did, and so everything worked out. And that's our story, and I'm sticking with it.
You know, we did a lot of the same things. Like we had planned early on for contingency and what we would need to do, like how limited can we run. And, you know, every day still we're going, okay, is there anything else we can tie together? Oh, this one has low ridership. Like, let's cut that run and put it over here. And, you know, so we're still doing that like all day, every day. And, you know, some days when we're short, and I know everybody's doing the same thing, you know, it's like we're spending our entire day figuring out how we're going to do that afternoon. And then we spend the entire afternoon figuring out how we're going to do the next morning. And it's like, you know, we still have all of our other jobs that we have to do. So, you know, but everybody's in the same boat. And, you know, I hope that, you know, if that need ever arises, that, you know, we can help out somebody else at some point too. you know.
Belinda, you got anything you want to offer on that since you were a big part of that?
Well, first I want to just let everybody know that, you know, I'm sure they're all going through what Denise and Claudine and everyone else at North Colony did. But what I really found interesting and I was happy about, and that's why I asked you all to come and share your story, was that, you know, you reached out. You know, some districts, I don't know if everybody knows it, you know, that's an option and to do that, and that there's, you know, other ways. And, you know, like Al said, you know, I'm not going to lie, when he said we need to give North Colony 3 drivers, I was like, yeah, he's lost his mind, because, you know, he originally told us to email him when we get to 25 drivers. Remember that, Al? And what were you getting? Like 2, 3, 4 emails? We're at 25 drivers. We're at 27 now. Someone else just called in. Now we're at 28. And it was like because in the morning they call in like gangbusters. So I start out the day before with only 25 drivers down, and then, you know, by 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm down 5 more at least. So finally he said to me, you know, don't let me know anything until we get to 35. Because that is our breaking point, and that's with you know, all mechanics on the road, kind of like you guys, all hands on deck. And I think we may have gotten to 35 once, but we're okay. You know, we got out of it. So for us on our end, I think the fact that, you know, we got together and we sat down and we said, all right, what does this look like? 20 drivers, who needs to be on the road at this point? And we got to 35, and 35 was, you know, Al on the road, Bernie on the road. So like you guys, no one in the office, no one in the garage, no 19A person, no dispatchers, you know, our routing specialist dispatching. And that's really not a place we want to be at. We don't want to put those people in those positions that normally don't drive. I remember I asked Al to drive once, and, you know, I probably won't do that ever again. But he came in and did it, and it's not something that we want to have to do. On our end, ask our, you know, leaders to drive like that. But, you know, having that let us know that when he said, you know, we need to send them 3 drivers and the 3 dispatchers got together, we kind of knew we could. You know, we looked at the next couple of days and said, okay, you know, it's bad, but even if it gets worse, we can do this or that. And I think that was what really was able to make us do that. So my advice would be, if you don't have a plan like that in place for something, get one. You know, get with your office staff, get with your dispatchers, get with whoever you need to get with, and say, what's our tipping point? What would cause us to have to say, we cannot transport? So this way, as you get close to that, you can prepare and, you know, maybe give a heads up that we may have to go remote. We may have to do this in the next couple of days, and then hopefully avoid that, and then come to another conclusion like you guys did at North Colony and reach out and just know that that help is out there. So
let me talk a little bit just logistics. So 2 major things you got to keep in mind. One is, if you're unionized, you got to make sure your union and the other district's union are in agreement that yes, they have no problems with that, and that's what Denise did on her side. That's what I did on our side, and we were doing this in a very, very short window, right? We didn't have a whole lot of time to put it all together. The other thing you got to keep in mind is insurance. So, like, you know, we sent the 3 drivers down. I believe, Denise, you correct me if I'm wrong, you guys had to get a rider, an insurance rider for that, to cover those guys. So keep that in mind as well. Those are really very important logistical points you got to hit.
And we made the decision to, you know, hey, we're going to borrow people. They're not going to know our area. They're going to go on the same run with a bus aid if possible. And then the one who couldn't, we didn't have an open special needs run, we gave him work that was 1 tier, you know, the easiest possible thing that we could give to someone who doesn't know our area. And, you know, those guys were brave walking into a brand new place, not knowing what to expect. But again, they couldn't have been more professional and just really, really nice guys.
And I do want to tell you, Denise, that they volunteered. So that was the other thing. You know, we didn't, you know, mandate that 3 drivers. We didn't handpick and say, you have to go here. We literally put up signs. We asked people if they were interested. And those 3 and there were more, but once I reached the 3, I was like, no, we're good. You know, they stepped up and said, yeah, we'll go, no problem. And so they, you know, trust in your staff. You guys got, you know, we all have good people. So if you know, they're willing to step up and help too, and they were happy to do it. And, you know, they were excited to do it. So they did volunteer to do that. So
Nice.
yeah. Does anybody have any questions for Al or Denise regarding logistics, you know, how they managed anything, any kind of questions that you guys might be facing?
That's what I heard. They brought donuts with them. Isn't that something? Should have been the other way around, Claudine.
She did. She got them some coffee gift cards and stuff like that as like a thank you.
Well, I'm glad it worked out, and it just proves, you know, I don't know why Pete Tunney didn't step up to the plate, but that's another story. But it just proves, you know, all these years, you know, we keep getting beat up, and, you know, other people want to take over and do all these things for us. I think, you know, we've done this over and over and over again. We've supported each other when the opportunities presented themselves, and we could actually support each other, whether, you know, taking John's, all of his, when he was there, Denise, all of the special ed for him because he didn't want to deal with it, or, you know, a homeless kid, or whatever the case might be. We've always have found a way to do it in the capital region. We've always worked together, and really this was no different. We're glad we're able to help. I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad the kids got into school. And I would hope others would do the same should we ever need it.
Yeah, I thought Pete would have stepped up after I've been bailing him out for years.
He was too busy still putting push pins in his map, trying to do his
That's
routing,
right, I was.
apparently.
It was.
Otherwise, he would have been there, I'm
We were
sure.
just one notch above you guys when it comes to trying to keep it all together.
Mm-hmm.
We were barely getting by.
I think that's it, Belinda. All yours. Go to your next issue.
All right. Well, thank you both again for coming. I know everyone's real busy, so I do appreciate that. And if anybody has any questions that they want to ask Al or Denise or myself or Claudine, just shoot us an email. We're happy to help you. If you need guidance, you know, like Al was saying about some of the logistics about union issues and things like that, I'm sure Denise and Al, myself and Claudine would be happy to assist you in any way we can if you are looking to borrow drivers from somewhere, or you just need help on how to cover runs or move forward. So our next person is Marie from East Greenbush. Marie is the head trainer over at East Greenbush.
The only trainer.
Okay. So you have a heavy load apparently over there, I'm sure.
And she drives a bus run.
And she drives a bus run. Of course she does. So the new, you know, the entry-level driver training program that is coming out, Marie is going to tell us a little bit about that. And I think talk to us about getting some kind of group together, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe
Correct.
sharing some thoughts and putting our heads together on how we can move forward with that. So the floor is yours, Marie. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Belinda. Can everybody see the presentation? Okay.
Yes.
So I just kind of did some overviews because there's a lot of information and it would take me more than an hour to cover everything. But obviously what it is, so is everyone familiar with what's coming? They have an idea what's coming down the road for February 2022 now. It was originally supposed to take place February of 2020. I don't think COVID put that on hold. I believe that the federal government cannot talk to the state agencies. So that pushed it off until the 2022 timeframe. So I've been following this all along, and it's been very difficult to understand what they're going to be requiring of us until literally this week. So let's see, the next slide who it's going to affect is going to be bus drivers. It will also affect A drivers as well. But if you're going for any kind of an endorsement, obviously you can see school bus passenger or hazardous materials. These regulations are going to affect basically anyone who is getting a CDL. The training is going to become different, okay? And getting to a point where we can take a road test is going to change. I don't know how everybody does it right now, but when I start training someone, I can kind of size them up, project out, you know, I'm going to be ready for a road test in 3 or 4 weeks, make my road test so it's there. With this program, that's not going to be an option. As you can see, there's a theory class, and this is where I'm reaching out because we're going to need people. We got to write a curriculum, and it would be good if we could work with other people on this. So the person that's going for their license gets their permit normally. The theory class is classroom work. They cannot get behind a school bus wheel anymore, and I used to do that right away. I mean, I still do it right away, but that's going to change. Theory class has to be given in the classroom. We have to create a test that they have to pass, either electronically or written, with an 80%. And through that 80% or better, they will obtain a certificate that has to be entered into a Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration database, so they know what's going on. Then you can move to the behind the wheel range in a closed range. It can't be on the road. That's what I do right away. I put them right out on the road with me in the bus. So it has to be on a closed range for a certain amount of time. Doesn't matter the hours there, it's just how that particular person is learning. It could be 5 hours, could be 10 hours, could be 20 hours. Once they're proficient behind the wheel in a closed range, then they'll be able to move to the open road. And certificates are obtained for all 3 of these sections. And you can't move to the next one until you get the certificate for the first one, then the second, and then the third. And then once all 3 are obtained and entered into the database for the federal government, they can then make a road test. Because when I log on to do my road test right now, I just log on and I pick a date, and it might be a week or 2 or 3 out. State, when we log on, state has to go out to the federal government database, check to see if that person has reached their qualifications to take their road test, 3 certificates, and then they come back and say, okay, you can make your road test. So there's a lot going on here. So how do we move forward with this? I'm not exactly sure how to write a curriculum. Never had to do it before. I'm working on it. My stepson happens to be a music teacher, so I asked for his advice on how to write an easy curricula. And I'm working on it. I'm working on it right here. Every day I do a little bit on it. And these are the topics that would be included in each one. So closed range, and some of them overlap. The theory obviously overlaps with the closed range because you're doing pre-trips. And then open range is basically your driving. Closed range would be the parking lot, inspection, backing, that sort of thing. So can we provide the training? Can we? Can we do that? There's things in here that I've not worked with. Skid control and recovery. Jackknifing obviously does not have to do with school buses. That's a split unit, so tractor trailer, we can take that out. But night operation, extreme driving conditions, these are not things that I've worked with in a training sense. It's more like on-the-job training. So there's some things that we're gonna have to really look at and come up with some kind of curriculum for, so that we cover it. And I don't know if everybody's interested in doing this. They may have their own system. What I'm doing is working. I'm getting people through. on the first shot most of the time. So they know what they're doing, and we have a pretty good training program. But this is going to be a little more detailed. So this is the points minus coupling and uncoupling. So there's 29 points here for theory training that we have to come up with some kind of a curriculum for. Now, I used to think that they were going to have us submit it to the federal government for approval. That is not the case. We can self-certify. Just found this out this week. So a lot of these things on this page here are things that we probably already do. There's a few that we don't, I'm sure. But we're just going to have to get a little more detailed on things. So we need help. We need curricula creators. Somebody who can work with me and help me get this done, because this is a huge undertaking. And if we all work together, then we can make it available for everybody so that everybody's successful.
So the reason why I asked Marie to come on the meeting today and talk about this was I was hoping that maybe we can get a subcommittee together of trainers, head trainers, or just different school districts that can work together on this, so that as we blaze this trail, you know, we're creating the curricula all together. And so when we go to register as a TPR, you know, we've already blazed that trail and we have that homework done ahead of time. So, you know, I implore anybody that wants to come on with us and work together in this to create this curricula, because it will benefit your school district as well, because we can all share this material.
So I do have a little bit more about the TPR. So that is up online right now. You can look at it. We can't register yet, but you can definitely look into it. You have to register, and there are requirements for your training providers. You know, they got to have like 2 years. I don't have it in front of me, but they got to have 2 years experience or something like that. Drive the vehicle that you're training in. Just the typicals that we already do. You know, I can't train somebody to drive a B if I don't have a license for a B. That's already in place. So the training provider registry is open for viewing. Okay, so this is a little bit more, again, this stuff, I mean, I don't know if you guys can read this after. I can email it out, this presentation, if you want me to.
Yeah, please mail that out to us. And while I'm on the mic, I'll tell you that someone from Shen will be on your committee.
Thank you, Al. I appreciate that. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So there's still a lot of fuzzy for me. I'm still reading through and gaining information on a daily basis. This stuff that I just got, I literally just printed out. Today's Thursday. I printed it out on Tuesday. So I'm still reading it. And if you've ever had to deal with the federal government, you know that things are detailed and lengthy and confusing. Okay, so right on the bottom of that slide there, all the individuals must meet all applicable state requirements to be the instructor. And like I said, it's nothing more than what we already are. They make it sound scary and you know, something that we're going to be treading waters that we've never been, and that's not the case. It is there. We just got to plow through it and make our own way. Whoops. Ooh, can I go back? There we go. So let's see. There are ways to, you can they're going to have, so there's a web interface that you can use. If you're going to be training 100 drivers, let's just say, like Chauffeurs Training School would probably want to do the IT side of this. We don't have to as a school district. If we're only training 10 or 15 drivers a year, we can go on manually and log in to give the federal government their information, the certificates and the scores and that kind of stuff. We can do that on our own manually. Don't know how that's going to happen yet. They haven't released that. I do know there is there's some websites for this. I also have an email that I could send out that I got from them that has a lot of links in it, and I didn't know how to bring them into this. So right on the bottom it says manual entry will be available to register training providers, and then, you know, we can do our own individually as needed. So it will be fully operational in February, obviously. So there is, down at the bottom, there is the handbook training provider. It's another link. There's so many links to get into here. You got to be careful with the information that you're gaining because it can be so confusing. I've spent the last year following MAP 21, looking constantly to see what's going on. And I was so confused. I thought there's no way we're going to be able to do this. But when they came out with this week, I looked at it and said, no problem. Mine works. We can do it with this one. So I think, yep, that's the end of it.
So question for you, Marie.
Yeah.
I know this is a question that we've all had. Has there been any more information on what's considered a closed range? Can it be our parking lot? Can it be like around our bus garage? Or does it need to actually be a fenced in closed area separate from public?
So good question. I have not been able to ascertain whether it has to be what you're speaking. I'm assuming not, Jerry, because I assumed that I couldn't do the training. It would have to be done, the theory training. I'm sorry, I couldn't do the theory training. It had to be someone who had a curriculum like PTSI. I was wrong. We can self-certify if we can provide the information. So maybe the parking lot can be our own parking lot, but it would have to be the same. So you would have to like drive a stake or a spike or paint some places to put down all of your cones and your lines and such. Backing is the biggest piece.
I attended the webinar on this the other, I think last week. And
Yeah, I did
so the closed range, all they said was it cannot have any hazards
Right.
in it. So, you know, what's a hazard? I don't know. Is a light pole a hazard? Is a sidewalk? I don't know. They really don't define that.
Correct.
I actually put the question to them that, you know, we are on basically a private campus. And this is, you know, we use our roads and parking lots here before we go on the public roadway. I said, is that considered a closed range? And I did not get an answer to that. So we will try to get an answer from the feds on this particular topic. But yeah, for me right now, if you have a parking lot that you're already using or a bus port that has enough room for maneuvers, I'd say you know you got it, and it's you that's validated. No one's going to come and
Correct.
you know check it out. You don't have to submit. They didn't say you got to submit pictures. You got to submit schematics. They didn't say any of that on the closed.
That's
range.
correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And Al, you're fortunate, Al. You have that large campus, and that's a great training place. We have to get right out on the road because our campuses are not that large.
Right. Peter Manella just commented though, it just can't be a public road, kind of like doing a rodeo. So I'm taking that as if you have, you know, availability to some kind of parking lot or something that's a private road, that would be okay as well.
That is what I'm assuming too.
So now one other question, Marie, the certificates, is that printed out from FM CSA or I just messed that up, but is it printed out from them or are we creating our own certificates?
No, it is a certificate that will come from them. And I believe that when you log in to tell them that they've completed like the 80% on the theory,
Okay.
they will give this. I don't know that for sure yet. That's not something that has come out to my knowledge. I haven't seen anything on that other than there will be a certificate.
That's true, Marie. There's nothing on it yet. And I think, I'm pretty sure they said it may take like up to 24 hours after you input the information for them to check it and then do what they need to do. So the feds are still behind, and I won't be surprised if February 22nd isn't moved again.
They
or
do.
February of 2022 isn't moved again. So we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. No problems.
I don't know if everybody's watching the chat, but Kareem Johnson from Bethlehem is saying that, you know, the approach in his former state was to have the state mandated school bus training certified to meet this requirement. Has there been any talks with SED and DMV VDU about doing this?
What was the first part of it?
In his former state, they had the school bus training, they're certified to meet the requirements. So,
Okay. Okay. I understand what the question is now.
okay, yeah, he's asking if there has there been any talks about that here.
So that is a very good question. I can reach out to BDU to see if they have any input. I've actually been talking to a lot of the examiners when I take people for a road test. We've already been chatting it up with them, and they don't know a whole lot, the inspectors. I'll try to get a hold of BDU. I know I'm pretty good friends with Mike Mizuko at the BDU, so I will reach out to him and have a conversation with him. And that's a good question. The federal government has to be able to talk. This is what's holding up this whole implementation, is that the federal government cannot talk to the state driver's licensing units yet. So I'm assuming there's a big disconnect in there. And Al, I hope you're right. I hope they push it off for another year.
Now, do you think that this would be something that we should bring to, start talking about with Paul?
Yeah, I don't know if, honestly, if SED should be involved in this. I mean, I don't see us doing anything differently than what we're doing right now.
No, me either.
The BDU is not going to get involved either. The federal government has come out and said, here's the theory, here's the on-road, this is what you need to do to get the CDL, right?
Right.
The state is not going to say yay, nay, or otherwise. They're going to have to follow it, right? So,
correct.
And as Peter Manel already said, a lot of the things that are in the federal requirements, we are already doing. New York State has been doing that for years, to include, certifying school bus driver instructors, meeting a 2-year requirement for to be an SBDI. We're doing all that. I think the major thing that's missing out of our training, if you look at what we already have, the curriculum that we already have, is night operations.
Yeah.
Right. So I've gone through this with my team here with a fine tooth comb. And I think that's the major thing that's missing, is the night operations. We're already doing a closed course. We've been doing that as part of what we do to train school bus drivers. We've actually revamped our forms to capture the classes that we're teaching, how much time, although the feds are saying, they're not going to put a time hack on. You got to spend an hour on this subject or an hour on that. They're leaving that up to each trainer provider. So I'm not sure what else, SED is not going to come around and certify. I mean, they could, I guess, put a new training program together. They can get PTSI, wherever they contract with, to put a quote new training program together. But I think it's going to be exactly what we're doing today. No different.
PTSI is already there.
I guess I was saying about the path of least resistance, that if we're doing 95% of it, and this will affect all 600 some odd school districts in the state, why not just add the piece to the state training, certify it, and then it's done for everybody? That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Well, PTSI already has a manual for training for the theory, and they are actually offering the class for $150 a person. They will teach it online. So the theory part can be broken out, and then you do the closed range and the open range on your own, or you can do the whole thing by self-certification. So getting it together so that everybody can do the same curriculum. Yeah. I don't know if
also another company, school bus safety company, that has a disc.
136 takes them home.
But from what I understand, that's very costly as well. And I just want to put a note too here that Peter Manella also put out here, is SED changing anything with the basic course? Lots of the items you do now in the basic are under ELDT. You will do a lot of these before the licensing. Just curious how that's being handled. So are we being repetitive too in the curricula before permitting, licensing, to the 30-hour we're doing afterwards?
or even the pre-service.
If I could, that was a question we raised with SED and DMV back probably 3 years ago when this all started. Because you are going to be, a lot of the things you do after they're licensed within that first year, you now have to do pre-licensing. So once you get them licensed by SED rules, you're going to have to go back and do some of that again. I'm not sure how they
Right.
address that.
Yes.
And Marie, and I told Belinda I've got to scoot here, but BDU isn't going to be any help.
Right.
Their
Yeah.
answer is their job is to take a test-ready person and test them. As long as they're registered with FMCSA, they can be tested.
Yeah.
So they want nothing to do with the training questions, and
So
they should.
I
Not who they
like
are.
Kareem's approach. I think as a chapter, we should put something together for NYAPT to go to SED and say, hey, you know, are you going to update your pre-service curriculum for school bus drivers? You know, and take it from there, and then mirror image that to what the feds have already outlined you got to teach. So that's a good approach.
Right.
Good thought, Kareem, and I think Belinda should
is.
follow that if everybody agrees.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Kareem.
I'm writing it down as we speak, Al.
Okay.
So if we could,
I got a scoop too.
Belinda, can we send this presentation out to everybody with Marie's email? Or anybody who's interested, you can also contact me and I'll get it to Marie. But if we can get a subcommittee together, I know Shen, Guilderland, East Greenbush are all willing. If anybody else is willing, wants to sit on this and help, divide and conquer, I know that we would all be very appreciative that, if each district could take a piece and work it and we all bring it together, that'd be really wonderful if we can, join forces.
Jerry, why don't you put an email together and we can send it out to the chapter members?
Okay.
And then, go from there. Who's ever interested can contact you, and you and Marie can get that going and head that up and be the point people and reach out to everybody if that works for you.
Sounds good.
Great. Thank you all.
Yeah, I got a scoop. We got an early dismissal.
Thank you
So-
very much for Marie.
Thank you.
I know you were busy today too, so I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate be able to reach out and get other people involved. It's kind of overwhelming. Federal government.
And
Thank you all.
I'm not just saying this because I have to, but Marie does a great job here, and we're very fortunate to have her. So thank you, Marie.
Yep.
Hold on one second, Lisa. I just want to do a quick business meeting. We didn't get to really do one, and we obviously weren't here last month. So if you have to go ahead and go. I just want to go over a couple business items with everybody. Our treasurer, Lisa Williams, is here. So I want to start off with her because I know she's got to go too. She's in dispatch while I'm in here. And she'll go over a quick treasury report with you. And then I have some committee updates as well. So go ahead, Lisa.
Thank you, Belinda. Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to quickly go over that we have in our both accounts total $20,583.97. $15,182.54 is in our checking, and the remainder, the $5,401.43, is in our savings account, which is only earning about 4 cents every month. So I'm not sure what it's doing in there. We have a lot of new paid memberships. We have 56 total new paid members, but in that there was only 24 membership fees paid, because once you pay the 100, you can put as many people from your organization on as you want. So that's where we stand right now. We have not spent any money in the last 3 months. And I believe there is things coming up in the future that we will be spending money on, scholarships and gifts for contest winners and things like that. As far as I know, that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. At this time, I need a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Tony raises his hand.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. Do I have a second? Claudine, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion passed. So we have some stuff going on in the awards committee. Al is here. We have our SBDI award, our 19A award, and our Employee of the Year award. So Al, do you want to talk a little bit about any nominations you got?
Yeah, we've gotten a couple of nominations already for the SBDI 19A, and that is it. So time is running out, folks. If you have anyone, get them in. Also for the Employee of the Year, start thinking about that. That is also on the docket. Let me see. That is due April
10th, I believe, right? First week and first week.
April the 12th.
Okay, so get those in. So you can email Al Karam, myself, or both of us, and nominate. We all know you got great people at your organization that are deserving of those awards. And the SBDI 19A are great awards to get. So I don't know that Judy Kahn is here, but we have decided that the chapter, capital chapter, we were going to do the poster contest anyway. The state, I don't believe, was continuing it this year, but we've decided that we were going to hold it for just the capital chapter. The theme is Be Safe, Know the Danger Zone. And the deadline for that is April 30th. I did send out some information on it, but if you do need information, let me know, and then I will also send it out again. So get that in. There's some great prizes for that as well. There's 6 different categories. So let's try and get some of the districts involved. On that note, that is all I have. If there's not any new business. Old business. Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to close the business meeting.
Second.
Jerry, second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passed. Thank you guys very much and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi, guys.
Well, that's why I'm wondering if it's.